Okay, I'm back. Another play and explain. I I know I promised a different format um for this next video, which would be this video, but um I got some stuff that I've ordered to improve the video quality, i.e. like microphone um type things and some software stuff. So, I'm gonna wait to get all that set up this week before I start a new format of video, which I'm pretty excited about, honestly. Um, but generally, what you can expect, like either bankroll challenge type video or like trying to reach a certain stake, uh, and I intend on making some sort of format like that, but I don't know exactly how it's going to work yet. Basically, right now my idea of it is like studying every day, posting info about like what I studied, tracking my progress, and then like sharing some hands or doing like a short plan explain with some analysis involved as well. So these are like 20 or 30-minute videos I'm thinking about putting out. Um, Here we're multi-way. So this guy, this is an unknown, and then here is a regular. Um, I'm gonna check this back. I think I think it could go in a couple different directions here, but checking back seems okay. Uh, yeah, my hand's vulnerable to many different runouts. Here I get four bet, and this hand is a pure continue. Even though this is a bit larger of a size. 10 9 4 rainbow, so check. And then at this point, I think I can start valuing my hand. I don't anticipate getting check raised all that often, so I think betting is okay for sure. All right, so this is an interesting size. I'm, not super comfortable in these spots. I think generally this type of hand is going to go into the muck, but it might be very close. So we can definitely look up the strategy on this board later. And then here, this is a full versus three big blinds. Um, is this too thin? I don't think so. I think uh, I think it's okay. This guy's a bit more passive, so we're going to go ahead and bet. And he folds. So maybe too thin, but I'm not convinced that it was. Let me pull up a notepad. These are just some. These are the things that I've studied today. So this is like day one of my challenge or whatever to climb the stakes or build a bankroll of a certain size. Um, and this is what we looked at day one. So the most basic stuff imaginable. So big line defense, basically just big line response versus different RFIs uh, from different positions. So 2.5 from low jack, two big blind open from low jack, stuff like that. Button, I did some studying on how to respond versus like a min open because that's a very popular thing on this site in particular. I think it's like mainly because there's no custom pre-flop bet sizes. So, um, like for instance, I'm not going to bet here, but for like maybe I should, but I'm not exactly sure. Um, oh, whoops, whoops. Uh, yeah, like you would you would basically have to use like a pot or like some percent raise size to um, like use your bet. So the 3x, 5x, and then you could use pot and size down to get to 2.5 size. Um, I think most people are playing so many tables that if they're on the button, they just min open, which loses a bit of EV. But I think it really loses EV because you don't really win the blind. You don't win the blinds all that. You're not supposed to win the blinds all that often, and the small blind is incentivized to call as well. So like you have less pot share because you're going multi-way more often. Um, but kind of tricky to play small blind flats. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So just looking at the response versus a mid open on the button. Um, Looked at some BVB single raise pots, just ace high boards. So this is like 17% of overall boards, or something like that. Not exactly sure what the percentage is, but it is like a big chunk of the boards you will play BVB are ace high, and they can sort of be in their own class. Here we're gonna mix the 9-7, and then on an 8-5 we'll 3-bet. I'm like on like a yapping tear right now, but this is I'm just going over stuff that I studied, and I'll go a bit more in depth tomorrow. This is crazy. Uh, Full. So I'm just gonna put a note here. Um, a bit jam. 68 big blinds versus 2.5 button on a buy. So fold here, and then here we will open. So yeah, ace high boards are all sort of within their same, like their own class of board type, right? Like I'd say you could distinguish ace high monotone as just a monotone, like within the monotone class, and then ace high paired boards within like a paired board class, right? But ace high boards that are like two tone or disconnected or rainbow, those all can fall within the same category. That's at least how I look at it. Um, so just looked at those today. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at some king high, and then queen high, etc. And the way I cluster it or group it is like ace high, king high, and you have queen high as well, and then jack 10 high as one, everything 9 high and lower, so 9 through 4. Am I supposed to overcall here? Probably not. So well, you have 9 through 4, and then paired boards and monotone. So it's 7 categories. Um, all these boards sort of play in their own way. Like you'll see like consistent like strategic ideas um, within each category. Ace queen is going to be a pure 3-bet for me. And yeah. Um, so just going down the list. Tomorrow I'll do king high, then queen high, jack 10, 9, and then by the end of the week I'll have finished reviewing all these flops. And I'll move on to the next configuration. No, I don't know if this is necessarily like the most effective use of my time, but I think generally like turns all like turns on these boards are easier to understand than flop strategies. And the more in depth you know earlier streets, the I'm like tempted to squeeze. I think I'm going to with this hand. And then I'll put in a cold 4-bet here. Probably this is actually a weaker player. Um, So maybe not the best decision to do that, but worked out this time. I think I got a little distracted talking too much about this idea of mine. It's gonna be full. We open 5-4. We get called by the big blind Jack 9-3. So this board is a mix. So you can play some big bets. You can play small bets. I think generally I want to play larger bets. This hand would mix around 50-50. With no backdoor, it's going to go a little bit more often into the check, but it's very close. Fold here. Um, yeah, so I need to play a really polarized strategy here. And actually, I don't know what I'm talking about, right? We just action just went check, check. So I'd reopen for like a small overbet or B75. Um, this hand I'll delay until the river. I'm obviously I'm gonna always bluff this hand. Um, but it is likely that they're a little bit protected on this ace because they're just checking a lot of traps. Probably anticipating me to reopen the action quite a bit, but this hand will always bet as a bluff. So another thing that happened recently was my oh well okay so um yeah, I'm gonna fold this. So I like don't have a tag on this player, but I did see them doing some speculative stuff uh, earlier, and I think these two players are maybe a bit weaker. So um, I don't think Jax is doing particularly well in this spot, and he shows aces, so that's nice of him. I'm gonna say thank you. Nice hand, and then um, here with a dead small, I think I just open mid. I think I'm able to open mid. So there's less money to fight for. And I don't know if this hand would like what how am I supposed to study this type of you know blind structure? So um yeah, I want to play a lot of check, but I'm not too concerned about like opening the action. I think these types of hands they want to mix into the check back range as well. Super strong draws on a 9. I will happily check back. And then we turn second pair here on a 4-liner board that's you know perfectly fine to showdown as far as I'm concerned. And river flush. So this is unfortunate. I'm gonna bet half pot here, um, or I'll just use the size. I put everything into the size pretty much in this line. I could maybe use some overbets, but his range is a bit weaker, so I think this will get called a little bit more often by like the ace high region, maybe even induce like some raise. But I don't really think there are many flushes in this line for my opponent. What was I gonna continue talking about? Uh, oh yeah. So my last video actually got like a couple hundred views, like maybe close to 500. It might be at 500 at this point. Um, versus 11. I think this hand is very close because this is like technically a button open. Um, I'm gonna fold. I'm gonna fold, but I need to check that. Um, here, Queen 9-8. time we'll do some mixing. This time I will. Yeah, this time I'll bet this. It's not super easy to defend on these types of boards. In a lot of the hands that really connect with this board texture for the big blind are like three betting, or at least in theory, like the ranges that I play. So on the 9, like when he tanks quite a while, yeah, I think it's close. I'm going to check this back and delay into the river. Or now even showdown ace high. I think I win, actually. So I'm going to check this back and, oh, well, lose to queen jack, but that's okay. Here, fold here, and then here we will. I'm more inclined to flat with some of these players in the blinds. And then check. Ace king 4 monotone. So this is not particularly good for the cutoff. Probably a pretty nice board for in terms of like, you know, having a lot of nuts in their range. Versus this small bet, I do like raising for some protection with fours, as well as like yeah, basically raising for protection on the side of the board. I'm gonna check this back. You'd want to be sort of polar with the hands you open on the button here, or reopen with on the button, and maybe have the ability to outdraw your opponent. So I don't have any specific reads on this opponent besides like at some point I tagged him as a recreational player. So I'm gonna. Is worth continuing one street even? Yeah, I think it is. I'm gonna continue one street, and we'll see how he plays the river. Okay, now that he's checked, is it too thin? I think when he checks quite fast, like it's it's okay to bet. This may be too thin, but you know, versus a recreational player, I think it can be okay. Um, just like my assumption is that the fast check on the river here is uh, likely devoid of flushes. My opponent checks, and then on this type of board, you when you stab as in position, you'd want to stab for a larger size. And this hand is like, you know, it's kind of like a little bit too weak. I mean, maybe at like a very low frequency, you'd want to get in there, but um, this is interesting. I might raise this just to like push some equity with this hand and like get called by worse. Like this is sort of like a value raise. Here I will fold. And then yeah, I'm gonna check this back because I think like the eights, sevens, like the pocket pair region is likely to fold on a later street. And there are a number of rivers we can bluff as well. Here, King Jack, slightly too weak, I think. Check this. My opponent bets pot here, so I think he's likely to have it. This is once again a recreational player, so I'll fold. Maybe just c betting there always is the best play, but my thoughts are like that fish like respond to bets in sort of erratic ways on those types of boards, where I might get completely blown off my equity. That's sort of the fear, right? But I don't know if it's necessarily the truth. Here, we'll fold on a 7, a 12, and then we'll fold on a 29. Okay, so we're 20 minutes in. I'm gonna wrap up this video by saying, yeah, my last video, it got a lot of views. Um, people were commenting on some of my other videos too, and the funny part about that is like I tried to record one of these yesterday, um, late at night, and like ended up having to scrap the video, um, mainly because the tables kept breaking, and I just wasn't getting into like any interesting spots really. I also didn't really feel like talking. Like like it's kind of a lot to just talk for 20 minutes straight. Um, Not that any of you like necessarily even want to hear that, right? But um, fault here. But yeah, like people were commenting on my video some positive stuff, but there was like one comment in particular that was uh, pretty nice, offering me some advice like to simplify my thought process, and then like basically advice to look for coaching, stuff like that, which I think is totally like valid. I've definitely considered it. Um, you know, I'll probably have to follow up uh, on that comment with said person, just because I don't even know really where to begin with poker coaching. Like I don't know, like it seems like it's like a sort of a challenging uh, industry to know who is legit and who is kind of like a charlatan. Um, because I mean there are plenty of charlatans in every industry, but poker in particular, it would be very easy to be like paint yourself as like this wizard who is super confident in all your decisions and you know exactly what you're talking about. But okay, here on 84 again, we're going to whoops, this is a bit too large. Put in D, cold 4 bet, and we get cold called. Wow. So this guy is like you know almost like whale status. Um, yeah, I'm okay c betting this. Like the calling range is basically like small pairs. The other option is to check back and then take money from those hands later, or like let them spaz out. But I think they generally will play like pocket nines, pocket eights pretty passively. This turn, it's really hard to target specific hands. Also, like when you're cold calling 4 bets, I would guess that there's like I would guess that there's like some ace queen, ace king in that range as well. So we'll check this back. Like it's very obviously condensed range. Um, and when my opponent jams, I'm feel completely sick about it, but I'm not entirely sure what they'd even bluff. So I'm I'm pretty happy to fold this. Is this like kind of a wimpy fold maybe? But what am I beating? Right, so, a very odd spot. Um, yeah, so I'm going to take up that that offer on poker coaching at some point. Likely when I have more time to focus on like meeting with somebody regularly. Um, for the time being, I appreciate comments like that. I appreciate people who are like supporting this channel, supporting the plain explained format. I'm basically uh opening myself up to like a, a level of exploitability. Like you're seeing how I'm playing with every single hand. Like if any of these players wanted to, they could study these videos and try and like devise some strategy specific to me. On these videos, I try my best to like play according to theory, but obviously, like there's so many layers to the game that it's impossible for me to do that exclusively. Where like I'm focusing on timings, I'm focusing on like reads that I have on certain players. Um, it's it's definitely it definitely opens me up to like getting exploited or like getting like losing some of my win rate in these games if I have any, right? Um, so I appreciate any comments, any support that I get, and it's really appreciated. So I'm gonna ISO this guy. We'll wrap up in a second, but I think one last thing I wanted to say was that poker, like thinking about some of the comments I was getting, thinking about some of the support that I've gotten. It's like a lot of times poker is like a really isolating game where you can kind of exist in your own echo chamber, and that could just be the way that it goes. And it's hard to find people who will give you like honest feedback or honest criticism about the way you played a hand, um, at least at a higher level, because it's a game of information. The people who are playing this game for a living, we buy. This will mix. Okay, and then we will check back here. Win versus 9-7. So this guy is definitely a recreational player. We will check here. And I'll call here. The eight. I mean, you'd want to maybe do some donking, but um, I think it actually is not bad to donk because like I don't expect my opponent like so the thing with donking here is like I don't expect my opponent to reopen the action with a bluff all that often. And like my hand is basically making money bluff catching. So if my opponent is not gonna like bluff that often on the turn, then donking seems a bit better. Here we'll check. Uh, and my opponent snap over bets. And I think from like a removal standpoint, not blocking any 8x. 8x should be raising, but donking generally pacifies your opponent, like in more often than not, on average. So they might arrive to this river with slightly more 8x than they should. And at the very least, I would want to have some combo that is blocking trips. Yeah, so poker, isolating game. It can be tough to navigate. It's tough to find people that are like the same skill level as you, that can give you like honest advice. Um, and yeah, you could pretty much end up like just doing this stuff on your own forever, which is not really what I want to do. Like I love playing poker. I love like everything about it. Uh, I like that it's you know, I think the thing I liked most about it when I started since I was playing live poker was that it was like a it's called it was such a like live poker is such a social game. And then here, do I want to bluff? I think so. I get some better like king high to fold, get ace high to fold as well. That hand's pretty close. Um, you'd basically want to bluff clubs there, I think, and then uh, like those other suits may mix at a lower frequency, but I'm not exactly sure. So yeah, like I just want poker to be like a fun game, and I want to get better. I love the strategy to it, and you know, that's why I have this channel. So um, it's basically like it's my way of meeting people through poker, um, and it's already sort of began to work. So thank you for I think that's gonna do it for me on this video. But thank you for watching, and the next video will likely be a new format. So I will hopefully you guys enjoy it, and yeah, hit the like button, comment however you feel, right? Just leave a comment about how you think I played, any interesting spots, any of your thoughts. And yeah, thank you for watching.